What if I told you that the way most people have been eating garlic their entire lives has been destroying the very compound that makes it so medicinal, and that most garlic supplements are basically worthless? Garlic is everywhere in folk medicine. Every culture that's ever encountered it has stories like eat raw garlic to ward off illness, garlic kills infections, garlic protects your health. Ancient Egyptian pyramid builders ate garlic for strength. But here's what's strange. Modern science confirms garlic is powerfully medicinal, antiviral, antibacterial, cardiovascular protective, potentially anti-cancer. The research is solid. Yet, most people who eat garlic regularly see zero health benefits. And here's the weird part. The compound responsible for garlic's healing powers doesn't even exist in the garlic until you do something very specific to it. Miss that step, and you're just eating a strong tasting vegetable. So what's the secret? Now this is going to sound like a chemistry class, but stay with me because it does change everything. Garlic contains a compound called alliin, not allicin. Alliin with two I's. This compound just sits there in the garlic cells doing basically nothing. It's inactive. But it also contains an enzyme called alliinase. This enzyme stored separately from the alliin in different parts of the cell. When you crush, chop, or damage garlic, you break the cell walls. The alliin and alliinase finally meet. They react. And in that reaction, they create allicin with a C. Allicin is the magic compound. This is what gives garlic its strongest medicinal properties. This is what kills bacteria, lowers blood pressure, thins blood, fights infections. But here's the problem. Allicin is incredibly unstable. It starts degrading within minutes. Heat destroys it almost instantly. Stomach acid destroys it. Even just sitting around in open air breaks it down. This is why cooking whole, uncrushed garlic dramatically reduces its allicin content and why swallowing many garlic pills does nothing. But here's an important nuance. Even cooked garlic isn't medicinally worthless. Heat-stable organosulfur compounds like diallyl disulfide and diallyl trisulfide still form and are absorbed into your bloodstream. Cooked garlic retains real cardiovascular, antioxidant, and gut health benefits, just with less of the raw antimicrobial punch. The garlic has to be raw, crushed, and given time for that chemical reaction to happen, but not too much time. So the answer is the medicinal compound doesn't exist until you crush the garlic, and then it only exists for a brief window before it breaks down. But this raises an even stranger question. Why would a plant evolve to create a powerful antimicrobial compound only after it's been damaged? What is garlic actually trying to do? And what does this tell us about how to use it? Think about it from the garlic's perspective. You're a bulb underground. You're trying to survive, and your main threats are bacteria and fungi in the soil, insects and animals that want to eat you, and competing plants. If you just constantly produce allicin all the time, there are two problems. It would take massive energy, and you'd smell so strongly that everything would know exactly where you are. So, garlic evolved a brilliant defense mechanism. Store the ingredients separately. Only activate them when under attack. When something bites into garlic, chews it or damages it, boom, chemical weapon activated. The allicin doesn't just sit there. It's created on demand, right at the site of injury. This is a damage-activated defense system. And here's where the energetics come in. Traditional herbalists would say garlic is hot, dry, and dispersing. Let's unpack what that means in terms of what's actually happening. Hot. Allicin is irritating. It creates warmth, burning, stimulation. It increases circulation. When you bite raw garlic, your mouth burns. When you apply crushed garlic to skin, and don't do this long, it can burn. It creates heat and redness. This isn't metaphorical heat. It's vasodilation, increased blood flow, metabolic activation. Garlic is dry. What that means, garlic is antimicrobial specifically because it dries out and destroys bacterial and fungal cells. It's astringent, tightening and contracting damp, boggy tissues. This is why it works for fungal infections, chronic wet coughs, and damp anti-inflammatory conditions. It's also dispersing, and what that means is allicin moves things out. It stimulates, pushes, expels. When you eat raw garlic, you sweat, your breath carries it, and your pores release it. Your body is trying to get rid of it because it's so intensely stimulating. What this energetic profile tells us is that this medicine is for cold, damp, stagnant conditions. So garlic evolved damage-activated medicine because it only needs defense when wounded. And energetically, it's heating, drying, and dispersing, which means it's specific medicine for cold, damp, stuck conditions in the body. But here's the critical question. If garlic is this hot and dispersing, who should not use it medicinally? And what happens if you use raw garlic when your body's already too hot and dry? And this is where people often get garlic wrong. They hear garlic is healthy, start eating raw garlic every day, or taking high-dose garlic supplements, or doing those eat a clove of raw garlic on an empty stomach challenges. Some people feel amazing, but others feel heartburn and acid reflux, irritated burning stomach, anxiety, agitation, insomnia, dry mouth, dry skin, hot flashes, night sweats, aggravated inflammation. What's happening? They're using heating, drying medicine for a body that's already hot and dry. So garlic is not for people with ulcers or gastritis because it'll irritate further. People with hot, dry constitutions, symptoms there could be excessive thirst, heat intolerance, inflammation. People already running hot from chronic stress or inflammation. People with bleeding disorders because garlic thins blood. People taking blood thinners. There's a dangerous interaction there. Before surgery because it increases bleeding risk. Garlic is medicine for cold, damp, respiratory infections. Think thick, white clear mucus, chronic bronchitis, sinus infections with heavy stuck congestion. Garlic cuts through the dampness and moves it out. It's also for sluggish digestion with coldness, bloating, gas, feeling heavy after meals, poor appetite. The heat stimulates digestive fire, but not if there's heartburn or burning. That's already too much heat. fungal and bacterial infections, like athlete's foot, candida overgrowth, which is a damp condition, food poisoning, parasites. The antimicrobial and drying action there is perfect. Also, think of it for cold hands and cold feet, in other words, poor circulation. The warming dispersing quality increases blood flow to extremities. And also think of it for high cholesterol and blood pressure. Modern research confirms garlic's cardiovascular benefits. It thins blood, reduces plaque, lowers LDL. But traditional use would say it does this by moving stagnation. Prevention during cold season. When you're exposed to cold, damp weather and cold and flu viruses, garlic's heat counters the cold invasion. So the pattern we're looking at here with garlic is using it for cold, damp, stuck, stagnant conditions. If your condition is hot, dry, inflamed, or depleted, garlic is the wrong medicine. So garlic is powerful medicine for cold, damp conditions, but it can harm you if your condition is already hot and dry. What all this means is garlic is not a universal health food. It's specific medicine. Now we haven't answered the most practical question yet, so let's move on. How do you actually prepare garlic to get the medicinal benefits? Because there is a special method that science confirms works, and it's not what most people do. So here's the method that works. And this is based on both traditional use and modern research. The 10-minute rule. First, crush or finely chop your garlic. This breaks the cell walls and allows Alliin and alliinase to meet and create allicin. Let it sit for 10 minutes, and this is the critical step. The enzymatic reaction needs time to complete. During these 10 minutes, allicin's being created. Studies show that waiting 10 minutes before cooking garlic preserves significantly more of the beneficial compounds. Consume it raw for maximum benefit. If you must cook it, the 10-minute wait is still valuable. It lets allicin form first, which then converts into heat-stable metabolites that survive cooking. So cooked garlic prepared this way still delivers meaningful benefits. For maximum antimicrobial effect, raw is best, but cooked is far from useless. And eat it with fat. Many of garlic's beneficial compounds are fat soluble. Taking it with olive oil, butter, or a meal with fat improves absorption. Here's a traditional method from folk medicine. Crush 1 to 2 cloves of raw garlic. Mix with a spoonful of raw honey. Let sit 10 minutes and then consume. The honey serves multiple purposes. First of all, it makes it palatable. Raw garlic is harsh. It coats and protects your stomach lining. Raw honey adds antimicrobial properties of its own. It provides the fat-soluble benefit if you use raw honey with pollen. Now here's the dosage for medicinal use. For prevention, 1 clove daily, but don't take it every day of the week. 3 or 4 days a week is enough. Active infection, take 2 to 3 cloves, 2 to 3 times daily if you can tolerate it. And as far as the duration for acute infections, use 3 to 7 days, then stop. Garlic is too heating for long-term daily use for most people. Now, here's why supplements often fail. Most garlic supplements either don't contain actual allicin because it's too unstable to store, or they use allicin potential, meaning the ingredients are there but haven't reacted. Use aged garlic extract, which has different compounds, notably S-L-L-cysteine, or SAC, that are stable and well absorbed. These have real cardiovascular and antioxidant benefits, just different ones than fresh allicin, and they can get destroyed by your stomach acid before reaching the intestines. So if you want the medicinal benefits, raw garlic prepared correctly is far superior to most supplements. Now the answer is crush it, wait 10 minutes, eat it raw, preferably with honey or fat, because this activates and preserves the allicin. But here's the final and most important piece. What if I told you that garlic's side effects, the smell, the sweat, the way it comes out of your pores, are actually the whole point, and that trying to avoid them means missing the medicine? Remember the very first question. Why does the way you eat garlic destroy its medicinal properties? And here's the complete answer. Because we've been trying to get the benefits without the experience. We cook garlic to make it mild and sweet. We take odorless aged garlic supplements. We want the cardiovascular protection without the smell, the antimicrobial power without the burn. And to be fair, cooked garlic and aged garlic extract do have real benefits. The stable organosulfur compounds that survive heat still support your heart, reduce inflammation, and feed your gut microbiome. But the raw, crushed version is a different, more potent medicine, especially for acute infections and direct antimicrobial action. But the smell, the sweat, the intensity, that's not a side effect. That's the medicine working. When allicin enters your body says, this is intense. We need to process this stuff out. So you sweat it through your pores. You exhale it through your lungs. You eliminate it through your kidneys. And in that process of your body trying to expel it, it does its medicinal work. It circulates through your blood for cardiovascular benefits. It passes through your lungs for respiratory benefits. It's excreted through your skin for systemic antimicrobial action. It stimulates every system it touches. The traditional energetic understanding was right. Garlic is dispersing. It doesn't just sit where you put it. It moves through your entire system, pushing, stimulating, activating, and then leaving. This is why people who ate raw garlic in traditional culture stank. The ones who were taking it medicinally would reek for days. That was the signal that it was working. The garlic was moving through their system, doing its job, and being expelled. And modern science confirms this. The sulfur compounds in garlic are detected in breath and sweat because they're circulating systemically. That circulation is the therapeutic action. When we try to remove the smell, we remove the medicine. So, the reason your everyday cooked garlic doesn't give you the full medicinal effect isn't because garlic doesn't work. It's because the strongest compounds require the right preparation. Cooked garlic is still healthy, but raw, crushed garlic, prepared correctly, is something more. It's the full spectrum version, with both the stable metabolites and the potent allicin-driven antimicrobial action that cooked garlic cannot deliver. Real garlic medicine burns a little, smells a lot, and moves through your entire system like a fire that cleans as it goes. That's not a bug, that's the feature.